The Upstate Golf Guys podcast is brought to you by Golf Week Amateur Tour, New York Upstate, a national tour for all golfers and skill sets in its 31st year. We represent the New York Upstate region, and to join, visit amateurgolftour.net and click Join Now for the best amateur golf tour in the country. David Calise, with his beautiful home for rent in Saratoga Springs. This mansion is located on Airbnb. What a way to enjoy Saratoga with family and or friends on a vacation to golf, go to the horse track, or relax in this beautiful home. For more information, go online to Airbnb/H/mansion in Saratoga Springs for information. Northeastern Insurance Agency for all your insurance needs. Voted #1 insurance agency in the Capital Region in 2024 by the Times Union. For any insurance needs, call Jared at 518-956-3753. The Bunker Indoor Golf, located in over 7 locations across the Capital Region and host of our Golf Week Am Tour Winter League on Saturday mornings. From golfing on their state-of-the-art simulators or having a delicious meal with your friends or family, come on down and visit one of the Bunker locations. Visit them online, getinthebunker.golf. For more information of the Upstate Golf Guys podcast and their partners, visit upstategolfguys.com.
Welcome back to another episode of the Upstate Golf Guys podcast. We are already at episode 60. We are midwinter. It really sucks here in upstate New York.
It's cold.
It's cold. I am itching to golf, man. I am itching to golf. Before we get into my guest, I just have a couple shout outs from our last 4 episodes. They were really awesome ones. Drew Jacobs, he's a rock singer. He just did a hit single with Marine rapper and D-Cure. It's called God's Ground. Go check it out. It's definitely a banger. And then we had Steve Wilkos. I mean, come on. It was pretty freaking awesome. It was pretty awesome. Steve took the time to chat with us about the Springer Show days and how his own show has been so successful for 18 years now. And Steve also loves golf, so we had some good golf conversations. So definitely check out that one. And then Slickest Golf custom head covers. I'll tell you what, these things are amazing. My head cover is absolutely incredible. I highly suggest you get a hold of this guy. One man, one machine, one of a kind, Slick Willie. Hit him up at slickestgolf.com. And finally, my man, Adam Shell, one of my good friends, took the time and came on and talked to us about his natural medicine, Brain Supreme. It's some next level shit. You definitely got to check it out. Use Upstate at checkout for a nice discount for his product. But we're going to get going into this episode. I've been trying to get this guy on the podcast for a long time now. He is out of state. He's down in those warm temperatures. I was just complaining about the cold weather up here. He came up to visit the family, and it's been a cold week for him. It has been a cold week for it. It hasn't been Austin.
It has. It's been a cold week, Anth. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, my man.
We got you and I got to have a serious conversation today. It's going to be tough to sit with you for a while and talk just because of our history. But
I think we'll do just fine. Yeah, I mean, I was telling Andrea earlier, I think you and I have hated each other more than we've loved each other, unfortunately. Is hate the word, or what is it?
I don't say hate. That's a strong word. I would say, we like each other more than others sometimes. That's for sure.
Absolutely, man.
I'll probably get into a couple reasons why I show a little hate for you sometimes too,
Well, listen, Austin, you got out of the state about, 20 years ago?
Yeah, about 22 years ago. And I've been in Florida half my life now, which is kind of crazy. It
is crazy. What brought you to Florida originally, brother?
I don't know, man. We all grew up tight and close. And, as a lot of you guys know, we are from a small town in upstate New York. I grew up on a dirt road, off a dirt road. We graduated with like 85 kids in our high school. And I don't know. I just got the itch after high school to get out and explore the world a little bit, and ended up down in Miami, Florida. I didn't even think I knew where Miami was on the map when we got out of high school. And I just wanted to change. I just looked at a map one day. Actually, my girlfriend at the time was going to the University of Miami, and we went down and looked at schools. I definitely didn't have the grades to get into the University of Miami. Went to a small school called Barry, and I just decided one day, like, give it a shot. And I moved to Florida. We broke up about a week in, and she was the only person I knew when I moved to Florida at the time. And I just, as soon as I moved to a place like Miami, when you're 19, coming from a small town in upstate New York, it's like Disneyland for in your early 20s. So I decided then and there that I loved it and was going to do everything in my power to stay as long as I could.
And that you did, man. That you did. You always talked to us and you always yelled at us and you said, what the hell are you guys doing out there? You guys got to come down. And a couple of the guys did. Our friend Brad, he made his way down there. And I wanted to, but a lot had me stuck here, man. A lot had me stuck here. The business, family, things like that. It was tough leaving, but you were the smart one, man. I got to say, you were the smart one.
It was good to get in. I mean, I love coming home, but I like, going back too. It's the best of both worlds, really.
Yeah, man. And you started your adventures at the Clevelander, right? Is that basically where you started?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a loaded question, but I moved to Florida. I was already in the service industry for a little bit, hospitality and all that. And, I moved to a city like Miami, and I met a couple friends who worked in the nightclub industry. And at 19 years old, were, making $1,000 or $2,000 a night bartending. And me at the time, actually, my first job ever was at Brunswick Greens up here, collecting golf balls in the driving range. Every once in a while, I get nicked by somebody in the ankle, and I was making like $5 or $6 an hour. So when I left for Miami, I was working retail and all that, and it kind of opened my eyes to the money you could make in hospitality. So yeah, I worked. I think my first bartending job in Miami was at Red Lobster, actually, and I came back for the summers because we got kicked out of the dorms, and I met a local bar owner from Troy. I walked in with a couple pretty girls one night, and he's like, "Oh, I'll train you." And I think he was drunk and didn't even remember me. And I came back the next day, and he pretty much was like, "Who the hell are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm here to train behind the bar." And he kind of just was okay with it. Kind of like, it was like, "All right, yeah, get behind the bar," and he trained me. And that's how I really got my start in the bar industry. Really, is high volume bartending was in Troy, New York, at a bar called the El Dorado.
Yep.
Everybody remembers.
Oh yeah, a lot of memories over there at the El Dorados. Elda's right across the street, and we had the I Love New York Pizza. A lot of late nights over there. It was a ton of fun, man. A lot of fun. But Austin,
what?
You started getting into bartending school shortly after that.
No, that was it was a little while ago.
It was a while after that. All right.
So
tell me what happened after Clevelander then.
All right. So I moved to Florida, went to Miami. I studied psychology. About halfway through, like I said, I started really getting into the bar scene. I had a lot of friends that were bartending in some really good places.
Yep.
I started bartending in some nightclubs and all that stuff. Started working a lot of events in Miami. It's, those of you guys are familiar with big festivals. Started working like Ultra Music Festival, and then I would work it, and then I would have people ask me, "Hey, I need 25 bartenders. Can you get 25 bartenders?" And going to college, that was pretty easy for me to do. I had a lot of friends who would love to work big events, and started working festivals, all that stuff. Worked my way up, and actually ended up getting a job, like you said, at the Clevelander on South Beach. I was about 21 years old when I started bartending there, and it was it was incredible being that age, making that kind of money. I put myself through college bartending. Really, I stopped my student loans and ended up paying out of pocket. And paid my whole college way, literally behind the bar. Graduated from college, got a degree in psychology. I never really used it per se, but you do it in the industry. Of those of you that are in the bar industry, know that's all it is psychology. And graduated and was making 3 times more bartending than I was with my degree. So it was very hard to leave. And like you said, Clevelander closed for a couple of years for renovations.
Yep.
And I ended up bringing down a couple of our really good friends. And that was awesome. I mean, it was great to have them down. It was nice to have, that support system down there. And we just, we bartended for a few years down there after. I was about 29 and I really didn't want to do it anymore. I was tired to working at 5 a.m. But it was just hard to walk away from that money, even at 29. So like I said, I was at that time staffing a lot of festivals for free. I would work these events, I'd get good shifts. I'd bring in 25, 30 friends. And I was like, how can I monetize this? How is everybody else making money on this besides me when I'm bringing these in. So I got the idea for Elite Bartending School, and I was one of these people that said, don't go to bartending school because most of them are trash. I get it. Those of you guys are bartenders, you're listening, you're like, oh, bartending school, blah, blah, blah. I get it. I was the same way. But Clevelander taught me a lot of things. I mean, as far as high volume, I mean, at the time, 10, 15 years ago, I would pour a shot of Patron and charge $16, right? A shot of Patron was $12, but gratuity was included in everything. So I'd make $4 on pouring a shot of Patron. Somebody ordered 5, you know, I'd make $20 in about 10 seconds. And
yeah, the money was just flowing.
Right.
Yeah,
I'd stop
awesome.
and think like, holy, can I swear on this podcast?
Of course.
Holy shit. Like I just made $20 in 30 seconds. It would take me 2 hours to make that when I was, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. So I got the idea for the school because of that, because a lot of these bartending schools don't teach volume. They teach a lot of ticky-tacky BS that you're never going to use. So I thought about it and I was like, I'll put together a program. I'll feed my students with jobs after. And yeah, I just had that mindset to go after it. It took me about 2 years. I had to write a book, got licensed by the Florida Department of Education, kind of stole a lot of the contracts out from a lot of these people that were staffing these events. I got a lot of gentlemen's handshakes that said, hey, if you open up this school, I've got 100 positions for you here, 100 positions for you here. So when I opened Elite, it was a good way to kind of squash my competition because I could offer students an education, you know, job placement, and then, hey, I guarantee you a job when you come out of here working big events like Ultra Music Festival and, you know, big events, small events and stuff. So, you know, I would monetize it that way where I could, somebody would come to me and say, hey, I need 100 bartenders for this festival, which it's pretty hard to do if you don't have that plethora of, you know, if you don't have that bullpen, I guess I can say, where I can get 100 bartenders in 3 hours if I put it on our forums and all that. So that's what really grew Elite for me pretty quick and got my name out in Miami as you know, not just being another run-of-the-mill bartending school. Is I legitimately cared about my students. I wanted them to get jobs after. I mean, some of my students would give me their last $650, and you know, and I know that if they came through my program, they were going to make their money back 10 times over. So, you know, Elite came in my late 20s when I was pretty tired of working till 5 a.m. I mean, when you're 21 bartending, it's great. When you're 29 bartending till 5 a.m, it's a dark world sometimes. You know, I never really, I don't do drugs. I never got into that. It's a dark world. There's nothing good happens after 2 a.m. on Miami Beach,
No.
as most people will say. So
I heard the stories, man. I heard some of them, buddy.
right. And that's, you know, that's kind of where Elite was born is out of almost desperation to get out of the bar scene, essentially. So
Okay. All right. And how many Elites grew, man? You had a couple schools, man, after you started your first one.
I opened Elite up with a partner, my buddy Gordon, who I owe a phone call to. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years, but we started it together. You know, the whole concept was to do it cheap too. Like we didn't do a build out. I was pretty well connected in my work. We did it at a really big nightclub down there for about 7 or 8 years. My partner at the time decided he wanted to do something else. We had a nice conversation. I ended up buying him out. He's actually now an airplane pilot. And actually, I think he opened up a car parts manufacturer for BMW as well. But in any case, when we parted ways, you know, in business, you have different visions and that's okay. And my vision was really to expand Elite and franchise it. And I just knew it could be successful if I did. So I spent the time and the money franchising it, which is a whole thing. If you guys aren't familiar with that, you can't just franchise. You've got to spend a lot of money to do it. And you've got to, you know, it's a lot of legalities and all that. And, yeah, and then I did that for a few years with the events, and we since expanded. I think my first school besides Miami, our first franchise was Fort Lauderdale. Then we quickly did Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, Orlando, Tampa, Naples, Nashville was open for a while. The Florida Keys, which is kind of what led to me to where I am today with Morning Joint.
Yep.
But yeah, I just saw it as a franchisable concept, and you know, we pair that with my vision of providing job placement for students, you know, getting people work. And it worked well for a while. It got me out of the industry while still kind of keeping me in it while not working till, you know, 6, 7 in the morning, so to speak.
Sure, man. And then you had some events over at Heat games, right? Over at that stadium. I remember you used to get in there for some events,
so
or
I didn't
what went on
staff
over there?
events for the Heat. I staffed for the Miami Heat. Like that's another thing. We were a temp tap staffing agency as well.
Okay.
Levy, I don't know if Levy's still there, but it was every stadium has a culinary group in the stadium. So like if you go to what's the stadium? I don't know. Let's just call it the what stadium in New York right now? Where are the Jets like?
MetLife.
MetLife, let's say. MetLife has a culinary company that deals with all food and beverage. So you go to that HR department and you try to, nab some of them bartending positions for students. So we did that for the Miami Heat. I mean, I had my hands in a lot of, and mostly, honestly, everything in Miami at one time, just because there's value in my business because I can get it's quantity. Like a lot of events are one and done and they need 100 bartenders for a day, or something like the Miami Heat, which is seasonal. They need their 50 to 60 bartenders for the season, and then half of them go away and they need to do it again. So I had contracts with the Miami Heat. I'm a huge Heat fan, by the way. Go Heat. I haven't been to games in a while, but I've been to many in my day.
Jack Nicklaus seats, those Jack seats he used to get.
Yes. We were very lucky I was very lucky with staffing. I sat in a lot of seats I would have never been able to afford if I hadn't. I've met a lot of people who I never would have interacted if I hadn't. So yeah, I mean, with staffing comes perks, kind of like what you got going on. I see your Lombardi putters and everything like that.
Yeah, man, it's fun. It's fun.
It was a ride. It was really fun, and it opened up a lot of doors for me. Like I said, when I moved to Miami, I didn't know a single person really, and bartending and hospitality was my ticket. So
that's awesome, man. Now, is this one of the festivals right here on the screen?
Yeah, so that's Ultra Music Festival. We had our hands in that for about 10 years. It's a huge electronic dance music festival in Miami. We usually about 280 bartenders work Ultra. I had the contract for about 130 of them for about 10 years. It's in March every weekend. But I would do big events, small events. I would staff one bartender for a wedding. I would staff, Trump National when before he became president, there used to be the Cadillac Golf Championship in Doral. And that course is, you want to talk about a course. Holy shit. That's
yeah,
a nice
man.
Course.
Beautiful.
So, I would staff all the hospitality tents for that. And, you would get tickets for everything. After a while, the last thing you would want to do is be at an event. It's funny when you're young, like you want to be at everything, after like 30 years old, once I staffed it, everybody was in their place. I wanted to get the hell out of there as soon as possible. But it's funny because I never really did golf, tournaments until the last couple of years I was in Miami. And have you ever been to a PGA
event? I sure have.
They're phenomenal.
Yes.
They're so much fun. You're up close with the players pretty much.
Liberty National. I went to an event there, and I went to one in Connecticut.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's like you're you hear them talking to the caddies. You hear all conversation.
Right.
It's incredible.
So I staffed that for about 4 years, and I went for 4 years. I utilized those tickets. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Speaking of, who's this guy right here in this picture that you met?
That's Ricky Fowler. Yeah, that's we met a lot of the players. I guess I don't want to get too much into stories with that, but like, yes, I've hung out with quite a few players, and Ricky Fowler and we didn't really hang out. We had a beer together in VIP, and that's my buddy Eric Trombley too. Shout out.
Oh, nice.
Ricky was a really, really nice guy. Really nice guy. Hung out, took some time.
And then, can I tell the story? You call me one night or you text me. You're like, I might have a surprise for you, Anth. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I don't care.
I'm like, what? No, I'm like, what? And you're like, somebody's at this party right now. You're like, and I just hung out with him. I might be able to go up to him and have him give you a shout out. I'm like, who's he even talking about? So all of a sudden he FaceTimes me. He's walking through this crowd. Who is it but John Daly? And it was very loud, so I couldn't hear what he was saying or Austin was saying. But all I saw the words, "I love you, man." I'm like, it was awesome, man. I was like, that was great. That was cool.
That wasn't even a staffing event. I was at a concert in Key West. It was a couple of years ago, and that's where I live, by the way. I'm down in Key West, CUDJOE Key, about 20 miles away. And the beauty of the lower Keys is you have opportunities like that where everybody's very chill and not all on top of celebrities and blah blah blah. And I saw John Daly there, and I was like, I shouted out to him like, "Hey, John." I'm like, "What's the secret to a long, successful life?" He goes, always admit when you fuck up. And I'm like, that's funny,
Perfect.
right? And then he's got actually a hard seltzer line now. It's called
I know
Good
exactly.
Old Boy.
Yep.
So they were selling it at the bar, and I went and I bought one and I gave it to him, and he thought that was phenomenal. I don't know why, but he was up on stage, chain smoking cigarettes, that John Daly, chain smoking, cheers and blah blah. And I kind of waved to him like, come on down. He was kind of sitting there, kind of looking weird all by himself. And he did. He came down and kind of gave me a hug and hung out. And we were shooting the shit for like 10 minutes. And I actually, I thought of you. I don't know if you were getting the podcast going yet. I know you were thinking about it.
Yeah.
I was like, you mind if I call my buddy? And he's like, yeah, give him a call. And
that was awesome.
Yeah,
that was really cool, man. That was really cool. So we're going to get into the coffee talk soon. By the way, this is amazing coffee I'm drinking on. But before we do, I want to get into your next adventure you did, which I'm jealous about, man. I think this looks like the fucking life. I'm going to play a little video I stole from your Instagram for my listeners. Check this shit out, guys. Check this guy. I mean, come on.
Paradise on Earth.
That's funny. Forgot about that actually.
Boats. I know you fell off. I know you did. It's sad,
I
but
wouldn't say fall off, but
you still have your boat, right?
of course, I'll never get rid of my boat.
But
yeah,
the business is kind of you're too busy now, man. I see you.
I can't do it. But yeah,
I know.
during COVID, I mean, obviously being in the events business, it totally evaporated, and I was just bored down in the Keys, and I already had my boat. I had never even thought about. I would have never had the time to even get a captain's license and do all that came with it. But during COVID, I was like, I met a buddy who was doing it, and I was like, I might as well get some kind of an education while we're, just sitting here, not doing much. So yeah, I got my captain's license during COVID. I live on the water. All that video is, I can be at those spots in 15 minutes from my dock. Those of you guys that know the lower Keys, that's what we call the backcountry down there. We don't have any woods. We don't have any elevation. We live down in the flatlands, but that's what we call the backcountry. That's our woods, is hundreds of islands, miles offshore that you can have miles and miles of your own sandbar and beach. And that was my vision with Tropical Charters. I wasn't going to be a fisherman. I'm not skilled in that. It's a whole nother animal. I had the idea to do sandbar charters, snorkeling charters, bring all the toys out, hammocks, grill, all that stuff. And it was great. I did it about 2 or 3 days a week for about 2 or 3 years. And unfortunately I can't do it at the moment with everything I've got going on, but it's it was fun. And actually those two in the video actually were a couple people I took on charter that I became really good friends with. So shout out to Dustin and Summer in that video too. So
awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna reveal it on the podcast, but you sent me some pictures of some bachelorette parties that got a little wild out there too, man.
Yeah, it was fun.
That was fun, I'm sure.
It was
fun.
You get all different walks of life. So it was fun. So I'll get back. I always say when I retire, I'm going back to chartering for sure.
There you go. It's a good life, man. It's a good life out on the waters. I know you really love it.
The lower Keys are unlike anywhere else in the world, really. Those of you guys that have never been, get down there because it's a phenomenal place.
All right. So before we get into your current business and My Morning Joint, which is awesome, I love it. I love following you. I want to talk about some of our stories from back in the day, bro.
Sure about that?
Yeah, I do. I want to get into it, man. Oh, where do I begin?
Where do our friends?
I don't know.
Should we call your buddy Brad?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. But listen, I know we're still having fights up until yesterday. It's crazy though. But
those two are adorable.
We are adorable. Yeah. We are. But Austin.
Yes.
We've been in many, many verbal fights, but how many fist fights did we actually get in? Maybe three or four.
Have you ever been in a real fist fight?
Well, they're not fist. They were wrestling fights more like. And
we
then
threw each other down Jiminy Peak Mountain one time. But you know what, Anth? It was always our friends. What?
There was that one.
Yeah.
There was one where we got the boxing gloves put on us at Kareem's house, and you chipped my fucking tooth.
No, don't fuck around and find out.
There was that one. There was.
I forgot about that.
There was then Keys Lane. Where were all the boxing gloves coming from?
Because you know what?
Who brought the
Everybody
boxing gloves?
instigated us.
They did. They did.
All our friends instigated us.
It was so funny though. It was fun, and we were always battling. We both played hockey.
Oh, the best was we would play hockey, and literally I'd be on one end of the with the puck would be wherever, but I'd be on one end of the ice, Anthony'd be on the other. We'd make eye contact and just full sprint.
Yep.
Try to check each other.
Yep.
Yeah.
We sure did. We were just praying that
Who was better,
out.
me or you?
We had our days. I'm not gonna go there. Oh, you want to start fighting again? You trying to start a fight, Oz? Listen, you had the pond in your backyard, so you had a little edge, man. That was fun too, man. Your dad used to go out there with the Zamboni, or not the what was it? He just plowed it, but then he sprayed it with water, and
we had a good childhood. We had an analog childhood. No cell phones.
No,
it was nice. We're old now.
And then how about Sadie and Sam? Sadie and Sam.
Stick out your tongue, Sam.
So I went down as the most gullible in high school. Okay, and there's some reasons, and let's tell one of the best stories, Aust. You could tell it.
Which one?
It's on the top of the list there, the Ouija board story. All our friends want you to tell the Ouija board story.
They do?
I think so. I think so. Well, first of all, what were we? Maybe
2 years ago. No, we were in like 10th grade. And
it was bad.
You know, when the Tyson's fights would come on. I mean, obviously when Tyson Holyfield fought, that was a shit back in the day when you were our age. So we would always gather at my house. It was about 15 of us, and Anthony was the most gullible person. I think you still are, to be honest with you, but he was very gullible. It was cute, I guess you could say. But you know, one night we were messing with the Ouija board, all of us, and we had this idea to really mess with Anthony. And so we moved it to say the Ouija board said that Anthony was going to die at 6 a.m. If he left our game room or something like that. Yeah. So that's all it took, is like the Ouija board to tell Anthony that he was going to die if he left the room. So he immediately, you know, started freaking out. Didn't want to leave the room. Us being jerks, we're trying to pick him up and force him out of the room. And he's like, you know, he thought that we were trying to kill him.
Yep.
So this went on for like 8 or 9 hours overnight that he.
I have something though. You forget something.
It was 30 years ago.
I know this is what got me, and I just didn't know you had a remote control.
Yeah, go ahead.
The remote control to the CD player, and you had it set to "Devil's Haircut," the song, the Beck song.
No, actually, we didn't. It randomly came on.
That was random.
Yeah, that was
wow,
random. It's a radio.
That was creepy.
Yeah, we turned the radio on, and Devil's Haircut came on, and Anthony was literally screaming he didn't want to die.
Yeah, it was bad.
This was before cell phones and stuff like that. So the Ouija board said that we were gonna have a seance at 6 a.m.
Your brother went in the closet.
Yeah, we hid my brother in the closet. We turned all the lights off, lit candles, and immediately my brother started banging on the closet door. Anthony's screaming, crying.
It was bad.
He doesn't want to die. We turned the lights on and tell him it was all a joke.
Yeah.
I can't believe you still that still haunts you a little bit, doesn't it?
A little bit. That's why it does. It does. Crazy.
I look at that. You probably have some PTSD from that.
A little bit.
Thanks, guys. Didn't really tell it
Appreciate
as well
that.
as it should be told, but
there was way more to it.
It was way more.
But the funny story is somebody else did believe it for a while. Who was it? Who was that?
I don't know. You want to tell that name?
No, we won't. We won't
One
start
of our
it.
friends.
He also believed it for a while, which had me believing it because he was like so freaked out. So
he's also our second most gullible friend.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
So.
Yes, he is. So then we had a neighbor that lived by you, our friend Nick Gilletta, and we used to ride bikes down your steep driveway.
Sorry, Anth.
Listen, your mom used to say, "What is wrong with you guys?"
Yeah, I feel bad. I'm sorry.
Thanks, all. So anyways, no, this was Nick Gilletta though. Shout out Nick. Love you, dog.
Yeah, sure it
was. So
I'll tell the story.
I can't even get it out. Yeah, I got wrecked.
It was long driveway. We used to race BMX bikes. So when it was Anthony's turn to race one of the bikes, our buddy Nick had a brake system that you could turn on and off. We may have switched it off before Anthony got on the bike.
Yeah, it was bad.
So we cruised down about 35, 40 miles an hour, hit a rock,
Over the handlebars.
Over the handlebars. Stitches, right? Stitches.
That wasn't that time. The stitches was from which wasn't your fault. That was just we were crazy. The sleigh riding accident. A lot of accidents at your house.
Yeah,
Sleigh riding accident.
We played hard.
I bit my lip really bad and through my lip, and yeah, that was a good one too.
It was all out of love. I look back at that. I'm like, man,
it's because you love me. It's because you love me.
Of course. I want to tell your bachelor party story too, but I mean,
you could tell it. You could tell it. I mean,
we'll save that one for a little bit.
All right. Can I tell?
Sure.
Will I get in trouble with this one?
Nah, I don't think so.
No. So Austin used to show me this. So his shout out Don, love the guy, retired police officer. He used to confiscate some stuff from the bad guys, and Austin used to always brag about it and show me all this stuff. We were like 11 or 12, and he was showing me like, pop pipes and knives and all this fucking crazy shit. It was, where was that? I was in the kitchen and up above the
yeah, you hide it all.
Yeah, it was awesome. But
looking at that now, though, I bet that was for his personal
you think he was using
You know what I mean? Like, come on, Dad.
Oh my God, man, that's crazy. But Austin, let's take a quick short intermission. Okay. And then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about your most recent success story, man.
Sure.
All right, buddy. All right. Find your perfect putter and join the Lombardi family. Whether you have lead hands, the face on the TC PL22 takes the speed off the ball at impact. Or are you the type that leave putt short? You can try the PC308. It has the weight you need to make it to the hole. You will find that Lombardi has something special for everyone's particular putting stroke. The 1985 is not only the most affordable club, but is the most beautiful. With a sharp red zinc alloy head and a steepless shaft. The Nassau 66 is one of the best-selling mallets on the market. It has a clean straight line finish to help guide your eye through the ball, straight to the target line. The head with a clean black mallet finish and a 60-gram mate shaft and a Lombardi 3.0 crown grip. You want a custom logo? Lee over at Wedge FX has you covered. But if you want to spend a little more money and make some magic happen, try out the new Diamond Mallet Putter. It's an absolute gem. This is a one-of-a-kind design and is available in the Lombardi Custom Shop. This head is made from a futuristic, top-secret metal. It has the center shaft which prevents pushes and pulls, and it is by far the most forgiving putter in the Lombardi custom family. Head over to lombardigolf.com and use Upstate at checkout for a hefty discount, or reach out to the Upstate Golf guys as we are local representatives for Lombardi Golf. All right, Austin, I got this little video to show the people what you got going on now, buddy. Oh, great. I made this. It's actually got a couple pictures of us from back in the day, too. So, see it?
Macchiato, mochaccino, half cappuccino. I love my coffee. Ooh, I love my coffee. Americano, mocha grande, tall decaf. Ooh, I love my coffee. Ooh, I love my coffee. Love it a latte, love it a latte. Ooh, I love my coffee, I do. Love it a latte, love it a latte. Ooh, I love my coffee, I do. There's no way that I could go waking up without my mojo morning, without my coffee. Like a horseshoe without the love, be like a quack without the duck, like a wallet without the bug. Got these stuff. Oh yeah. Macchiato, mochaccino, half cappuccino. Ooh, I love my coffee. Americano, mocha.
Whoa.
So from bartending to charter to the coffee business.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. Listen, damn good coffee. I'm drinking it right now. Tell me what got you into this idea. Was it you, Miranda? Where did this come from, Austin?
All right, so out of left field, pretty much. It all had to do with Elite, pretty much. With Elite bartending, I got into a lot of training, opening bars. I'm kind of like John Taffer without the drama, I guess you can say. I kind of did a lot of the similar stuff after a while. Helped opened up a lot of bars, and I got a call from Lynn Bell, who is a kingpin in Lower Keys. She owns the Square Grouper Bar and Grill. CUDJOE, and this was about 10 years ago. She had called me and she said she was a beer and wine restaurant and she was opening a bar upstairs, full liquor, and she needed a full training for her bar staff. So I had already loved the Keys. From the moment I've been in the Keys, I knew I wanted to live there. I never thought I'd have the means or to do it, or I didn't know what I would do down there. But of course I said, yes, I would love to come down for 5 days and train your entire staff. So we set up a training program. I had already started elite bartending at one of the bars on Key West. So over the course, it was actually a 2-week class, 8 days. Over the course of 2 weeks, I trained her opening staff for her upstairs bars called My New Joint, and went through the training with her. Struck up a really good friendship with her. She's a genius restaurateur. Literally the Michael Jordan of restaurants is the Square Grouper Bar and Grill. If you've ever even been to the Keys, she's got 3 locations now: Square Grouper Isla Mirada, Square Grouper CUDJOE, and she just opened Key West. But at the time there was just CUDJOE. And I had the idea. I'm like, well, I didn't really like the place I was on Key West. Like I said, I was subleasing a bar. It was outside during the day. It was just, the summers there, brutal. So I asked her to let me move the school there on Sundays when she was closed. We only do a weekend class there, and she agreed. So over the next 7 or 8 years, that's where our elite bartending was, at the Square Grouper. And like I said, we really had a mutual respect for each other, a friendship. And she purchased a property down the street from the Square Grouper Bar and Grill, and she approached me about her idea of wanting to put some kind of breakfast spot or coffee shop in there. It's a duplex building where she would pair it with her retail shop, which her retail is hugely popular down there as well. So, Miranda and I thought about it because I did have a lot of stuff going on. I had my schools, I had my events business, events business, my charters. And the last thing I ever wanted to do after getting out of the bar industry is open up a restaurant. Like it's just volatile, and it's just, you got a 60% chance of failure. It's just a weird, it's just something that I wasn't really interested in. But, Miranda and I sat down and talked about it. And, Lynn Bell, like I said, she was a pretty important figure, and it was just hugely respectful that she came to us and wanted us to open up something that she had a vested interest in. So we thought about it. We didn't know what to do or what to call it. And, I had the idea of, let's build the brand similar to the Square Grouper. By the way, you know what a Square Grouper is, Anthony?
It's a fish, right?
No, everybody thinks it's a fish.
Oh my God.
It's fine.
I know a grouper is a fish, right?
It's a fish, right?
A fish?
No, okay, kind of. It's Square Groupers are bales of weed that the lower Keys, the Keys themselves were huge in smuggling in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So what they would do is they would drug run a lot of the times from Colombia or Mexico or Cuba, and they would either, their ship would sink or something like that, and there would be these bales of marijuana. It was cocaine too, but we highlight the marijuana part. And they started dubbing them Square Groupers, these big bales of weed that would wash up on shore. So that's the Square Grouper Bar and Grill. That's their kind of claim to fame too, is it's a smuggling theme. So with us, I was like, well, let's come up with a brand that's similar to the Square Grouper that we can kind of cross brand in our merchandising. We can build our facility like no one would ever know the difference that it's not Square Grouper. I would just need, Lynn's permission for that. And I thought to myself, if she said yes to that, then there's no way we couldn't do this concept, because I could never let it marinate if somebody else did it. So we said yes. So then the next part is, where the hell are we going to get our coffee from? Because I don't want some run-of-the-mill crap coffee. The Square Grouper down there is, it's an elevated brand, elevated pricing. The food it's second to none. So we had to do the same thing with Morning Joint. So it's funny, at my wedding, one of our best friends we grew up with, Chris Mehigian, came to my wedding. I hadn't seen him in years, but like with our crew, when you don't see somebody for years and years, you can pick right back up where you left off. So we were talking about the restaurant and all that. This was in April of 2022. And he said, hey man, he introduced me to his beautiful wife, Monica. He goes, Monica Monica's family owns a 125 acre coffee farm in Colombia. He goes, you should source your beans from our farm. We're going there in June. You should fly out with us, work the farm for the week and see if it's, you know, a symbiotic relationship. So we were like, holy shit, what are the chances of that? Again, if you saw where we grew up, just the fact that Chris Mahigi and I are now in Colombia, you know, working a farm, it was just, the whole thing is just totally crazy. So we met Monica's family, phenomenal place, phenomenal people, just such a beautiful thing we experienced. And we said yes. So that's where we source our beans from. It's a 125 acre farm in Colombia. And they ship it right to our door. They roast it for us. We're pretty small, but yeah. And then we came up with the name. Colombian Gold is a strain of marijuana that was hugely popular, and probably your parents know it well. I know my parents do. So, you know, everything was meticulous with Miranda and I. Like, we wanted every detail to be, you know, if we were going to do it, we were going to spend the money. We weren't going to cheap out. We were going to sit down. We were going to do it right. And, you know, that's one of them things is we found the coffee, we tasted it, and we were like,
it's really good. Well, I have a little video. I put a couple of pictures up of Colombia, but I got a couple of videos here. I'll show the listeners. It's only a couple seconds.
Inicio de floración. Desde octubre de 2023. Más o menos 6 a 7 meses, queriendo Dios, cuando salga la producción de esta flor. Están por acá las abejas trabajando, se escuchan zumbar.
Yep, that's pretty wild, man. That's pretty cool. It all comes from that.
Western Colombia, 2 hours outside of Cali, Colombia. That's Diego. That's Monica's brother. Genius farmer.
Awesome.
You know, they do honey, they do plantains. Everything in that farm supports each other. There's no pesticides. You know, they grow the plantains to feed the coffee. The bees are there to pollinate the coffee. Like, everything is symbiotic. Even the waste they use for fertilizer. It's, you know, you go to a country like that and you see what people complain about over here, and it's just, it's very humbling.
I'm sure, man. Yeah. I'm sure it is. Even when I was in Jamaica, you saw the way that those guys eat and cook and grow their fruit, and it's just a different world. It's a different world than the States, man.
So yeah, so we got the coffee, and then we had that kind of that major check mark, you know, and then it was time to get to work with the branding. What were we going to call it? You know, we threw around a lot of different ideas, and then I don't know if it was Miranda and I who came up with it, but, you know, we're a team. I couldn't do anything I do with Morning Joint without her. She's the mastermind of the menu, and we call her Mama Bear there. But, you know, we came up with a name and loved it. And, you know, we had to wait on permitting a lot for the building. It took us about a year to get the permitting and all that. So we kind of sat and waited, and then we were just go. And we started our build out in September of 2022. We were open by the end of January 23rd, 2023 is when we opened Morning Joint.
I'll tell you what, the food you got over there looks damn good. What is that?
So that is our pork roll, egg, and cheese, actually, a Jersey favorite. So the thing about Morning Joint is we're not a diner. We're you know, we're an elevated coffee shop, where we call ourselves the little coffee shop that could. You know, the thing about coffee shops is a lot of coffee shops have 2 of 3 things. You know, they either have the food, or they have the coffee, or they have the ambiance, really. You know, the thing about coffee shops is if you're just selling coffee and you're just selling pastries, you're working your ass off for not a lot of ROI in return, you know? So Miranda and I were already fortunate enough to have our successes in other areas, and I didn't want to take this venture on to make less overall. And, you know, I didn't want to give up something to lose, essentially. I knew that it's at the start. Yeah, you gotta put your hours in, and you got to do your build out, and you got to do your investment. But we wanted to do this to make money, of course, you know, at the end of the day as well. So we decided on, you know, food, breakfast sandwiches, waffles, toasts. You know, we're not diner style. We didn't want to put a hood in. We didn't want to do a fryer. We wanted to really I'm a breakfast guy. I love a good breakfast sandwich. So that's what we wanted to do is put together a coffee shop that you can get in and get out with, get fresh made to order food, excellent coffee, and have a chill environment that you can hang out with, bring your kids, bring your dogs. I wanted to be super, super pet friendly. I mean, I grew up that way. My parents owned a boarding kennel when I grew up. They made their money off our land. You know, I think that's where I got my business sense a little bit, as I was always fascinated by being able to make my own money. You know, obviously I worked for the man and stuff too, but I saw the way they worked and the volume that they did. And I always thought that was really cool to be able to, you know, have your own business. It's
absolutely
a blessing and a freaking curse.
What's going on with they sold the kennel, but it's still over there, or
they still have the land, they still do it. I mean, this is before all the PetSmarts of the world too.
Oh
So
my
they
God,
were,
I know.
you know, they had a niche, but
Remember the kitty there? Remember the condos when they first hit? Those
Right.
things were awesome.
Right. But yeah, but getting back to Morning Joint, like it's, you know, that's our theme is, you know, good breakfast sandwiches. We're not a, you know, people coming up sometimes, do you guys have hash browns here? No, we're not a diner. We're a coffee shop,
Yep.
you know, so we cook all our own eggs, you know, everything is cooked while you wait. There's no microwaves. We have no microwaves. Everything is fresh. You know, cooking is not my forte. It's funny. My wife, Miranda, was always an amazing cook. And like, we had no idea we were going to do this. And I always told her she missed her calling with it. And when we had the opportunity for Morning Joint, I knew she was going to be amazing at that aspect of the menu. You know, like she has her strengths. I have my strengths.
Yep.
Cooking is not one of them. So that's why when we did Morning Joint, I knew that end of the bargain, that end of the deal would be, I didn't have to worry, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, so we opened up, those of you guys that aren't familiar with the Keys, we're on CUDJOE Key. There's the beauty of the Lower Keys is, I mean, first of all, you're closer to Cuba than Walmart down there. We have no Walmarts.
Yep.
We have nothing, you know, there's not a Starbucks within 30 miles either way. We're really kind of in the middle of nowhere essentially down there. So I knew that a coffee shop would crush if it was run the right way, especially pairing up with the Square Grouper brand. That was kind of like jet fuel for us when we opened, because they had already been an existing brand there forever. But with that being said, there was a lot of pressure. I didn't want to open something and first of all have it fail. And I didn't want to open something and, you know, I wanted to make sure we were successful. I totally believed in it. And we were from the start. You know, we really created a community space that's pet friendly.
Yep.
And all that stuff too.
Miranda, she kills it too with the reels. She's awesome.
She's a little bit younger than me, a little bit prettier than me.
Well,
so she
no, I'm saying she just, you know, she puts those reels together. So with the to the music and to the funny videos, and she's good. She's good. I love follow. It's a good follow
it's a
over
social
there.
media world out there.
It is, isn't it? It is.
It's how you have to. It's one of the key forms of advertising. I
Sure
hate
is.
social media, but you know, you have to be on it if you want to be successful with your brand for sure.
Absolutely, man. Here's another little video of my morning joint. I think most of it was in the video, but this is what you sent me. So, quick. You got ping pong over there, and then tell me who this guy is. You told me a little bit earlier, but this is a really cool story, actually, man. With all the history down there. Who's this guy?
Oh, okay, Jeff. So yeah, I'm a big history guy. I love history. So when we built Morning Joint, I really wanted to have local art photography and art from the Lower Keys. So that guy there, his name is Jeff Frankel. He was a DEA agent. That's actually him in the picture to, I guess, my right in the picture. He was a DEA agent in the Keys in the 70s and 80s. Back then, there was like 2 or 3 drug agents in all of the Keys. So it was like the Wild West down there. And I just put a lot of pictures of his busts and stuff that he had, you know, when he was in enforcement. So that's him.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And here's one of your frozen drinks. That looks very tasty.
Yep.
Absolutely, man. You do them fancy, man. That's what does something like now Dunkin' Donuts, something that is like $6, no joke. What I mean is that around the price probably for you guys as well. I mean, I know it's costly.
We're elevated, you know, like that's the thing about Morning Joint. I didn't want to be gas station, you know. I wanted, you know, to have a good quality of product. You got to understand too that we're down in the Lower Keys. We're essentially on a rock in the middle of the ocean, about 130 miles from any farm.
Yep.
So everything in the Keys gets brought in. So
Of course.
that's why
A little
to live in the
pricier.
Keys, to do anything in the Keys, it's like living in Manhattan. It's the Manhattan of Florida.
Yep.
So we wanted to put together a menu that was delicious, but with that comes a cost, you know?
Of
So
course.
we are a little bit elevated. We do, you know, we have a very good local following, loyalty program. We give locals discounts, all that stuff. But yeah, we're around, I'd say we're around, you know, that right there. I think that's our frozen ube dube latte. I think it's about $7.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. What Austin, where was this picture from? Was this New York City?
New York City, I think 10th grade-ish.
Was it
Kareem Johnley in that picture?
Oh my God. Was it Bronx Zoo? Did we go to the Bronx Zoo together? Was it a rainstorm? I feel like that's when this was.
We did go to the Bronx Zoo. I don't remember.
I don't know. I have memories of that, but yeah, I threw some pictures up here. Here's another one of us. This one was a classic. Where the hell is it? This one right here of us. Down there in your pool room. We probably got in a big fight earlier that day, beat each other up once or twice, and then played some
got in a fight
PlayStation.
because one of us lost to each other in the pool.
Yeah, more than likely. Oh my God. Well, Austin, tell me a little bit about this new business now. It's even another business.
So, you know, with Morning Joint, I don't know where it came along, but we decided when we saw the property that there's no ice cream in the Lower Keys. Believe it or not, there's no ice cream from Marathon, which is, I guess nobody knows that. Within a 50-mile radius, there's no.
In the Keys, dude?
Nothing.
Wow.
Key West has it. Key West is like the big city. They have it. But yeah, we saw this gap of like, you know, people would come in and ask if we had ice cream. And so my neighbor at the time had this Airstream sitting in his yard, and it had been through a couple hurricanes. The thing was a disaster. So I bugged him for about a year. I'm like, let me buy it off you. I'll make it beautiful again. We want to do ice cream out of it, blah, blah. And he fought me on it. He didn't really want to let it go. Eventually he came over to my house and he goes, hey, I think I'm ready to make a deal on the Airstream, and gave it to me for a neighborly price. Let's put it that way. So this thing was a camper pretty much. So we took it. My buddy who did my build out for Morning Joint, I went to college with him actually, and ended up he owns a woodworking company and does a lot of the build outs for a lot of the nightclubs. So we contracted him to do the build out for Morning Joint, and we also told him that, hey, on deck we've got this Airstream that we really want to turn into an ice cream trailer. And he said, yeah, bring it up when you're ready. So when my neighbor sold it to us, we brought it up to Miami. He worked on it for about a year for us, and retrofitted it for ice cream. So we got it back on site. We bought a top of the line ice cream maker. That's another thing too, is like I told you guys, no microwaves, no nothing. Everything that we do is of the utmost quality. You know, Miranda had this vision for ice cream. She knew exactly what she wanted to do. She's just gifted like that. You know, I step out of the way and say, okay. And so, yeah, we brought it down. And we were like, what are we going to name it? What are we going to name it? And I was actually at a big event in Miami. I still got to do a couple events. Most of them are franchised out, but I was like, you know, what are we going to call this thing? What are we going to call this? And then it popped into my head, Ice Stream. So I call her right away. I'm like, what do you think about Ice Stream? And she said she thinks she loved it. And from then on, we were like, all right, we're gonna call it Ice Stream. So it's all homemade ice cream on site at Morning Joint, open 6 days a week. So pints, pies, everything like that. So
that's awesome, Austin. That's really I'm really happy for you for your success down there in the Keys. I mean, you're living life. You're living awesome. And I got to get down there, bro. Listen,
Anthony hates to fly. So
I was supposed to be at the wedding. You remember what happened?
You did.
I was so mad, dude. I was so mad.
I didn't think you were gonna come, and then you did, and then we had about 200 guests, and the only flight that got canceled was Anthony's.
And I was miserable. So I could have taken a flight the next day, and I would have probably made it just by the time the wedding started. Like it wouldn't have been worth it. It would have been crazy.
Or would have been.
Oh man, but awesome. I'm having a great time here. We're gonna go take one more short break. Give one of my sponsors a shout out, and then we're gonna come back and close this episode out, buddy. All right?
Sure.
All right, man.
Hey, Mike, you know anybody does any roofing?
Actually, I do, Raj.
Who you got for me, man?
Dude named Tom Murphy did my boss's roof. Actually does hands-on work.
Gets right up there on the roof, huh? The owner of the company?
Yeah, he does. Knows his shit, too.
That's awesome, man. Is this Thomas Paul Construction?
Yep, that's him.
Man, I heard nothing but good things about them. I'm actually on their Facebook page right now looking up some things. The pictures, the aerial view, they're really cool. He gets up there with the drone. You can see the before and afters of some of the work they've done. Go check them out on Facebook. They're a new sponsor here, the Upstate Golf guys. So make sure you guys go support Thomas Paul Construction, Roofing and Siding. Thomas Paul Construction LLC is a full-service construction company who specializes in roofing and siding, covering the greater capital region. You can reach them at 518-308-6794. Once again, 518-308-6794. And make sure to go check out their Facebook page, see some pictures of what they've done in the past, and let them know the Upstate Golf guys sent you.
And they just built an awesome new website to show off their beautiful work, 518roofingandsiding.com. Go check it out.
Hey there, golfers. Before we dive back into the podcast, I want to take a quick moment to talk about someone who's got your back both on and off the course. Jared Lozier with the Northeastern Insurance Agency. Whether you're running a golf business, managing a pro shop, or just looking to protect what matters most in your personal life, Jared and his team at Northeastern Insurance have you covered. From business insurance to personal policies, they'll help you find the right coverage at the best value. Here's a pro tip for all you golfers out there. Make sure your golf clubs are protected too. Jared can help you add them to your home or personal articles policy so you're covered in case of loss, theft, or damage. Because let's face it, replacing your favorite driver isn't cheap. So next time you're looking to upgrade your coverage or need expert advice, give Jared Lozier a call at 518-956-3753 or shoot him an email at jaredl@nemail.com. Swing into better protection today.
So, Austin, you met Ricky Fowler, John Daly. I'm sure being down in the Keys, you've met some pretty famous people. Any other stories that you got to tell me, or what?
I've got stories, but I don't think I can tell most of them. I'll tell you one story, actually.
All right, let's go. What is it?
So, all right, I'll tell it because you know what? He's so big, he's never gonna freaking care anyway. So like I said, I was very blessed to be in the staffing industry for a while and be a part of a lot of events and all that stuff that I never would have been able to be in my everyday life. So you don't get starstruck, especially working at the Clevelander. I mean, every weekend somebody's in there. But there was something that happened a couple of years ago that I cringe about still, that I feel like I missed an opportunity on. I was working. I did not a golf tournament. I did a fishing tournament in Miami Beach Marina. It was called the Miami Billfish fishing tournament. And my job, I was contracted. It was about 30 fishing boats, but like not fishing boats, like yachts, like Michael Jordan's yacht, for example, the Catch 23. That, yeah, it was crazy. So I was contracted for a server and a bartender where they would be on the dock when they came back from fishing for the day. They would be catered. So my server would have, the best restaurants in Miami Beach. They'd have a buffet style, and then they have a bartender. So like I said, Michael Jordan was there, and he was there all weekend. And I was like, I had just watched The Last Dance. This was probably like 4 years ago. I think it was right before COVID. And, you're not really starstruck, but when you got fucking Michael Jordan there from me to you all weekend, I'm like, I tell my staff, be professional. Don't flirt with the freaking celebrities and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, part of me wanted to flirt with Michael Jordan. To be honest
of course.
You know what I mean?
So
it was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was there on site all weekend, and, Mike was around. He was friendly. He was friendly to my girls. And, him and I looked at each other, probably said hi, nothing really. But so the fishing tournament wrapped up on a Sunday. He actually won that year. So the fishing tournament wrapped up, and he's on his boat, and we're all cleaning up. And I'm like, I got to say something to Michael Jordan. I'm like, come on. He's like the most recognized person in the world, right? I would say top 3, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
So, like I said, it was all catered by these phenomenal steakhouses and stuff, buffet style. So it was like steaks, T-bones, tomahawks, Brussels sprouts, mac and cheese, let's say. So it ends, and, we're throwing most of it out. So Mike's on the back of his boat, big cigar in his mouth, like literally from me to you. And he's got his fishing crew. So I'm like, all right. So I walk up to him, like, hey, Mike. He looks up, and I go, I got all these leftovers here, Brussels sprouts and stuff. I'm just going to throw them out. I'm like, do you want any? And he looks at me, and he looks at me dead in the eye for like 5 seconds. and then stares back down, and somebody on his boat's like, nah, man, we're good, thanks. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I walk away, and I'm like, what an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, you could have said something to me, or like, you know, I was trying to be nice, right? So I'm like, I'm thinking about it. So then I'm driving back to the Keys. It's about a 3-hour drive from Miami to CUDJOE. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. What did I just do? I walked up to Michael Jordan on his Catch 23, which is a $12 million boat, by the way. Look it up, the Catch 23. Phenomenal boat. And I go, do you want your leftover Brussels sprouts? You know what I mean? Like, and he was probably so perplexed. He's probably had his freaking chef inside and everything like that. So perplexed that some idiot walked up. I literally said Brussels sprouts too. I could have said steaks, but I'm like, I got these Brussels sprouts and steaks. I'm just going to throw them out. Do you want them?
You were starstruck, man.
I mean, I guess I should have been like, hey, don't forget to brush your fucking teeth too before you go to bed, you know? So I was like, oh, that's why he didn't say anything to me, you know? But so, and then, you know, I contract those tournaments to this day. I franchised the events for that market, but his boat has been there, but he has not been there since. I've told my director, if he's ever there for the weekend, let me know. I'm going to drive up and try it again. But yeah, I asked Michael Jordan if he wanted his leftovers Brussels sprouts.
That is a fantastic story.
Yeah.
That's really funny, Austin.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh man. One last question, man, before I let you go.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Are you still allergic to milk, or is that long? Is that
No, I'm not actually.
No?
No.
So I had that written down on the board too. And I used to stay over at Austin's house, and when I would have cereal, I would get the normal milk, and Austin had this fucking gross ass, like yellow looking, looked like booby milk.
Full transparency, I had to drink baby formula until I was about 16. I'd water it down because there was no soy milk or anything back then. So yeah, that was my life. Isomilk.
How did you just grow out of that? I remember like you started able to slowly eat like
in Miami once, and me and my buddy were at a Subway or something, and I ordered a sandwich, and his had cheese and mine didn't, and we accidentally switched it, and I ate his whole sandwich with the cheese on it, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. And then nothing happened, so I slowly started integrating it into my life and decided I could have it, and here I am 30 pounds heavier, and there you go.
Eating a lot of pizza. I think that happens to a lot of people, like with like peanut butter allergies, and I think they grow out of them over time.
Yeah, remember I would switch your milk and put baby formula.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. It was fucking crazy, man. Then we used to always joke, we're gonna poison you. We're gonna like give you we're gonna spike your shit with milk.
Everybody was so disappointed when I could eat cheese.
I know.
They still bust my balls about it. So.
I know. And then I just have some memories. I have these memories of you and I Friday nights senior year, and that's like when I first started smoking weed. My parents would go out. You don't remember this? And we would set the lawn chairs up on the front yard, and on the lawn chairs at my parents' house.
I got a story that you probably don't even know about that I could probably tell.
Wait, I know the story. What, the one when you guys had a party at my house and I was gone? That was a good one. My mom knows. My mom knows about that one. Don't worry. My mom knows about that. Yeah.
So Anthony would always go to Wildwood with his family. Remember, there was no cell phones or security cameras and blah blah blah. So he had an AC. I'm sorry. He had an AC in his parents' bedroom. This was not, by the way, I would always get blamed for everything for whatever reason, but this was not just
I know
me.
who this was.
We would roll up deep. So Anthony was out of town. We were 17, 18 years old, and we had the idea of, shit, if he's going to be out of town for 2 weeks, let's pop that AC out of his parents' room and live at his house for a little bit. We didn't live in your house, but we popped the AC, and we had some good parties up there. And we would have got away with it, except that our friend Brad broke the truce. And the truce was we only go to Anthony's house together. You don't do your own thing and have your own party and not let the other person know. So sure as shit, one night we're driving by your house, just literally random driving by, all your lights are on and blah, blah. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? And pull up to your driveway, and one of our friends decided to have his own party at your house.
Who was doing laps and racing around the house on the lawn?
I don't know. Believe it or not, I was always the voice of reason. I always tried to keep it civil.
I would hope so.
I'm so sorry about that, by the way.
It's okay. No, I think you guys got caught. Because
something was left out.
Somebody ate my aunt had brought over ice cream sandwiches to give to my cousins because she would use the pool. And like somebody ate all the ice cream sandwiches, I think. So she was like, what happened? Who ate all these?
Every summer we'd have a 2-week vacation home at what was your street?
North Lake Ave, baby.
Nice pool.
Real nice pool. I miss that house. I miss that house.
Sorry about that.
And then
Parents.
Austin,
What?
you do you remember the Yukon, the deck? Oh God, so many good times in the Yukon.
Yeah. Used to roll out. Yeah, it was fun. We had
go to the lookout. We'd go to the lookout and sit on the deck and just chill out, man.
It was good times. We had a good childhood.
Real good childhood.
We really have a great. That's one thing that I cherish is not to be cheesy. Is I love my roots in upstate New York. I think that I have a great. We have just a great group of friends, and it's just nice to have friends that you've been friends with since you've been 5 years old that are kind of like your brothers, really, whether you fight or not, you can, I haven't literally seen you, Anthony, in a couple of years. I don't think
Millie wasn't born yet when I saw you, and she's 3 now. So
we pick her right up.
We do. Of course we do.
I think that's special.
Very special. Very special. All right, buddy. Listen, let's wrap things up. Can I
come back on sometime?
You could come back on anytime you want. I think we should bring Brad on next time, though. I think Brad should sit next to you.
You got a better chance of seeing God than Brad coming on here.
Well, he thinks all I do is talk politics, so I don't know.
Not all you do.
Not all I do. But Austin, tell all my listeners your social media platform where they can find you, because that's a fun follow, even if they don't get down there. Check them out.
Yeah, we are 22864 Overseas Highway on CUDJOE Key, Florida. 33042. Name of the restaurant's called Morning Joint. We also have homemade ice cream on site as well. Instagram is at mymorningjoint.com. For ice stream, it's Ice Stream Trailer. If you make your way down, mention Upstate Golf, guys. Your first cup of coffee's on me. How about that?
Hey, I love that. I love that. Hey now. All right, Aust. Listen, I'm going to wrap things up. I know you got an early day. You got to get on the plane in the morning, and you got some shit to do today. So we're going to wrap it up. And I appreciate you coming over. It was a ton of fun.
Thanks. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you doing this. Looks good in here.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you, man.
Keep killing it.
Thank you, buddy. Love you, dog. And you're welcome on anytime, man. Your next adventure, come on and tell me about it, because I'm sure this isn't your last adventure. The way you roll.
We might have a second location.
All right. Hey. All right, man. All right, everybody. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode of the Upstate Golf Guys podcast. Catch you next time.